Plaintiff Carletha Cunningham says growing up, she was always told that she and the defendant shared the same father, and the defendant was in and out of her life. However, Carletha now has doubts about whether or not they are related, so she petitioned the court for a sibling DNA test. Defendant Lawrence Hill says growing up, he abused drugs and was in and out of jail. But the last time he was incarcerated, he decided he wanted to turn his life around, and that's exactly what he did. Lawrence says regardless of the test results, he will always consider Carletha to be his sister.
All right, and today we're here to determine a sibling DNA?
Yes.
Whether you all are related, brother, sister? All right. Start with you.
Your Honor, I was supposed to be here a couple of weeks ago, but my daughter ended up passed unexpectedly at age 31.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. So,
and, how are you dealing with it in terms of your grieving?
Well, I'm struggling.
Have you sought out counseling? They have them at hospitals.
No, sir.
And I think the hospitals or clinics associated with those hospitals provide it for free, or certainly if you're insured, even if it's just Medicare insurance. So look into that.
Yes, sir.
All right. God bless you.
Thank you. Your Honor, I was supposed to be here a couple of weeks ago, but my daughter ended up passed unexpectedly at age 31.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. So,
how are you dealing with it in terms of your grieving?
Well, I'm struggling.
Plaintiff Carletha Cunningham says growing up, she was always told the defendant was her brother. But now she believes they may have different fathers. So she petitioned the court for a sibling DNA test.
How do you know your presumed brother here? Tell me the background.
As a child, I was always told that he was my dad's oldest child. And as a child, he used to be in and out of my life when I was younger. You know, he.
In what way?
He would
come over on the weekends and then not? What do you mean by that?
He would come, maybe I see him maybe once a weekend. One weekend he would come maybe out of every 3 or 4 months and bring me gift or come by and see me. And he would, you know.
Your brother or your father?
My brother. My father was there until he passed. My father passed in 1971 when I was 5 years old.
Okay.
So he would come by and see me, but he was in and out of my life. Like, I didn't see him like in my late 20s, my 30s, and I think we regrouped about when I was 40 years old.
Were you all in the same town?
Yes.
Prior to that gap, what had been the status and what age were you before losing touch?
I think I was like about in my mid-20s, maybe 25, 26.
How did the separation occur? It just kind of drifted away?
Yes, it just drifted away. He was nowhere to be found, and several times I tried to contact him, but I couldn't reach him.
Oh, he was probably in jail. or smoking crack. Sir, why couldn't she reach you?
You about right.
Now this time I was just playing. I usually accuse and I'm right. This time I'm playing and I'm right.
You're right. It's substance abuse.
Yeah.
Alcohol, marijuana. Had daddy issues.
Why? Why did you have daddy issues?
Because I felt like I just didn't fit into that equation. No,
give me a little more back. Let's start from the beginning in that way. So I want to hear how your relationship.
Well, see, I never lived in the house with him, but I would always visit, spend weekends, and you know, I get kind of off because Sunday morning he want to bring me out on the front porch and slip money in my hand, tell me to be a good boy, and I felt like, you know, I deserved better than that. It was like he didn't want his wife to see him giving me money, even though he took care of me. I was just young and foolish, resentful. And,
resentful of what?
Because he wasn't married to my mama.
What age?
It was rough in my house, you know, come up poor. and I resented that. So at an early age, stayed in a lot of trouble. First time I went to jail, I was 11 years old, breaking out a street light. Mama thought I was at home in the bed, climbed out a window. 13, I was in jail again, breaking out of school. 15, in jail again, stealing a battery out of a car. So big time now, that was a grand theft. And put on probation, so I cooled it for a little while. By the time I was 13, I was drinking heavily. 15, added pot to the repertoire, popped a few pills, in and out of jail. Wound up having 2 kids. At the age 28, I went off to the penitentiary. Short time, thought I learned my lesson. But I got out, and I tried to change my ways. While I was in penitentiary, I found out what I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be a convict. And so I wrote home, told my mom to tell her pastor when I got out, wanted to be baptized, I'm going to get me a job, take care of my children, act like folks that got good sense.
Good.
You know, I deserved better than that. It was like he didn't want his wife to see him giving me money, even though he took care of me. I was just young and foolish, resentful. And,
resentful of what?
Because he wasn't married to my mama.
Plaintiff Carletha Cunningham says growing up, she was always told the defendant was her brother. But now she believes they may have different fathers. So she petitioned the court for a sibling DNA test.
Let me ask you, and then we can resume, because I want viewers to get a better understanding themselves of their children and the consequences of their choices. And that is the resentment. When did you grow out of that, or when did you come to understand it in a way that it diminished the resentment, if not eliminated it altogether? How old were you?
35. It started at age 35.
The resentment went away at 35.
I started learning how to deal with it. After being forced into a position to accept responsibility for the consequences of my own behavior. Looked into a wine bottle. It was July the 12th, 1987, never forget it. Had just got into a confrontation with my mom, and she asked me to get out of her house and don't come back, that Lawrence knows how to fix everybody but me. So she invited me to fix myself. And she was aware of the resentment. She told me that all of my life I had been punishing her. And she didn't even know what
Punishing
was wrong.
her for what? Because of their breakup?
She didn't really understand what the punishment was
That's
about.
what you...
And I didn't either at the time. I thought she was crazy, you know what I'm saying? You know, the one person in my life that I thought I really loved, she said that I had been punished.
So have you met other men who grew up in single-parent homes? Or didn't have their father in their life, but their father was alive?
Just about everybody I hung with. We had the same hang-ups.
All right, and that's what I want viewers to know, that he says the majority of the young men that grew up with him, that didn't have both family members in the household, they resented. So how did you come to determine you wanted to have it checked out?
Well, our family it was 8 of us. My mom had 8 kids. I have lost 4 brothers in the last 5 years. And so Lawrence, as a matter of fact, I forgot to say, Lawrence did my daughter eulogy. So that's how close we are. But, and then I realized family is very important to me, especially since it's getting smaller.
How did you all determine that you need to answer this question? How did the question come up?
I asked him, would he take a DNA test?
Why?
Because my 2 younger sisters that's directly younger than me, I was told that my father was their father, and they did a DNA test with the father.
You were told by who? Both parents, your father that you presume, and your mother?
Yes. And found out that they was not my father's kids.
Okay.
So that made me question, who am I?
For sure.
So I asked Lawrence, this was maybe 50, when I was 50 years old, would he do a blood test? And that's when
What was that?
About 5 years ago. And he initially told me no. He told me, you're my sister. I've been told your whole life you're my sister and you're going to always be my sister. So maybe about a year ago, I asked him again, and he agreed to it, to do a DNA test.
Okay.
And he said, no matter what, you're going to still be my sister. You know, so we are very close. As a matter of fact, he's my pastor. And he did my oldest brother eulogy, and he did my daughter eulogy. Yeah. So we are very close.
All right, sir. What do you think? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I understand what it is to be a broken vessel. And how I got out, that I know is her way out through Jesus Christ.
All right.
Plaintiff Carletha Cunningham says growing up, she was always told the defendant was her brother. But now she believes they may have different fathers. So she petitioned the court for a sibling DNA test.
What do you all do in the community? I'm just curious, because a lot of drug addicts, recovering addicts, they just focus in on themselves and they don't go back and repair the damage. They don't help the community.
Well, I'm working at a drug treatment center. I got several people in my congregation that I've gotten into treatment.
All right. You all aren't siblings, sorry to tell you.
We're not?
You are not.
Well, you're still my sister. Still my sister, and I love you, and ain't nothing gonna change that. Okay?
This is not what I wanted to hear, because I grew up my whole life thinking he was my brother.
Yeah, just that I love her. She's still my sister.